Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Chaos Within podcast with my co-host, sometimes, Sherry.
Sometimes? Since when sometimes? This is the second episode. It's been all the times.
I'm going to have to replace you, so.
Maybe I'll replace you.
I guess we'll have to see who gets replaced first. That's the goal of the podcast from now on. Who gets replaced first?
It'll be you. All right.
For those of you that don't know, we are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. We are on Amazon.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio. Yep. YouTube. I think that covers everything.
Probably.
I'm gonna be saying
if not, it'll be somewhere. Whatever one you missed.
It's always exactly. It's always somewhere out there. You know, if you watch some of the clips, you know, it's always floating around there too. We also have a Discord. I don't think we mentioned that in the first episode. So if you want to join our Discord, you know, that is also in the link wherever, somewhere floating around in the chaos. I think I covered everything I needed to cover. I hope. All right, so you went on a trip.
I did. I would like to say it was a vacation, but it wasn't. I was actually in Finland last week for work, which was really interesting, mostly because they're 7 hours ahead of me. So it took me several days to get used to like sleeping on that time zone. And by the time I had gotten it just right, it was time to come back home. So if that's one tip for you, if you're going to Europe, like give yourself a week to like settle in. But it was really nice. I did a lot of walking. I did a lot of good eating. It's really interesting because their public transit system there is really good. So people don't really have cars, but they're also really good about being sustainable about stuff. So that might be a part of it too. So they had like this really cute train that was down the middle of every street, and they had buses and all sorts of stuff. But for the most part, everybody seemed to just walk. So like I walked from my hotel to the city center, and I did some shopping. I had some pizza. I walked back. I walked more than I'd probably walked in the entire month of January in that 1 week. So it was probably for the best. I felt really healthy. And it was good. It was a good time. I had a lot of traditional Finnish food. I rediscovered a love for smoothies that I had lost for a while. So we're definitely going to get back into my smoothies. I actually just started having them here. So that's been pretty good. But other than that, it was a good trip. I was there for work, so most of my time was spent working, but I did have a lot of fun.
What was your favorite part?
Oh, you know what? I really enjoyed the walk that I had down to the city center because all the buildings, it's really interesting. You'll see something that looks very, very old, and then you'll see something that looks really modern right next to it. And it's kind of disorienting in a way, but some of the architecture there is just really cool. Like they had buildings that were literally just glass. You could see clear through them, and that's just it. And then right next to it, it'll be like an old government building that's all stone. And it was just like mixing and matching those two views. Like one side of the street is one thing, and one side is the other. Was pretty cool. And they had all these lights. Like it looked like Christmas was still happening there. But I know, like, you know, Finland is where Santa is from. He's from Lapland. That's where Father Christmas, as they call him over there, lives with the reindeer. Reindeer is apparently very common over there as well. They eat it. And it's also, there's like reindeer pelts on sale everywhere. So that was really interesting to me. But yeah, it still looked like Christmas. So when I got to the city center, there were all these lights and it was really pretty. So I think that might have been my favorite part, even though it was a very long walk. I think I had like 5 miles of walking that day almost, but it was worth it.
I've never been outside of the country yet, so okay. I'm sorry.
We'll work on it.
I've been to Canada, but I mean I don't really count that. But you know,
it's our sister to the north.
Yeah, it's nice over there.
If our ship goes down, Canada's coming with us probably.
I tried to escape the Tik Tok Ban by going to Canada. That's what I want everybody to do.
No, didn't work. It didn't work. Oh, the Tik Tok Ban. You know what's funny? Now that you bring that up, I found out from scrolling TikTok apparently 14 hours after the ban that if you set up your account in the US, even if you were living in another country, your TikTok didn't work.
I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, so it's just setting up your account here. But I think the TikTok ban was funny, mostly because we had people spending days crying, like full on sobbing about TikTok going away. I will be the first to admit that I had a minor crash out because I got back home like late Friday night So Saturday, I was like, this is going to be my last stream on TikTok. And like, I'm just going to let it go. And I'm going to go to Twitch. And, it is what it is. And like, I'm going down with the ship. And then the ship just broke apart piece by piece. Like, the ship didn't just go down. It was like, here's one oar. And there's another oar. Oops, the sail is gone. And then, but it was only broken for some people. It was just... And I felt so emotional about it. And then I'm laying in bed because for my body, it was daytime, By the time I was going to bed that night, my body was like still on Finland time. So I was like, what am I going to scroll now? I started using apps that I forgot were even in my phone. I was like scrolling through Blue Sky. So I actually started to get more acquainted with that. I was on Reddit reading random stuff. Like, I was doing everything. I was avoiding Meta at all.
It drove you to Reddit.
It drove me to Reddit. I did everything in my power to avoid every Meta app because I'm just, he's part of the reason why this happened. And then, like, my husband wakes me up the next morning. He's like, look, it's back. He's like swiping on his phone. I was like, what? Like, what? I crashed out for nothing?
The funny part about that is your husband is the reason why I kind of found out it was unbanned, because out of nowhere, mad randomly, I just got you've been followed on Lemonade. I'm like, wait, what? How did that happen? I was so confused by it. I was like, it just has to be a late notification. Yeah. So I opened TikTok for the probably 4,000th time that day, and then a video just loaded. I was like, what?
It works?
It's like it's working now. Okay, I guess. I'm like, I started. I think I sent it to our little chat. I sent Pang a message saying, "Hey, I found a way through. Don't let me go, please."
Then never let go, Jack. Never let go. And then she lets you drown.
Yep, exactly. She didn't respond back to hours later, so that's how I felt in the moment.
She really did let you drown.
So
shout out to Pang for holding strong, letting him drown.
So after that, I went to his potato, one of the potatoes. He happened to make a post when I got there, so I commented on it. Just put eyes, and he's like, "John, is that you?" And I was like, "I think it is, but please save me." And he
it's dark over here, man.
I'm like, I can't see nothing, man. So everybody who's the people that we associate with, that's on the other side of the world. I was messaging. I was just going through on their stuff, just leaving comments and stuff, and everybody's like, wait, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And I was like, I don't know.
They really just cold turkeyed us and then brought it back. It was like everybody was going through withdrawals. I didn't know what to do.
See, our last live experiences was, vastly different. I sat here, I was playing songs, making people sad, and as I left, I'm like, I don't know why you're so sad for you. I can still find you. I was like, it'll be back in probably a week's time, right? So, seeing everybody make these goodbye posts, like I'm like,
I didn't say goodbye to nobody.
Yeah, I was like, I understand, like
like, if I care about you, I have a way to talk to you still. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have time.
I was just like, you can find me here.
Yeah.
If this app ends up never coming back, you can find me here. Don't worry about it. I saw one dude. He got really emotional. Like in his last post, he was like, we don't see. Like he started crying and everything. Then hours, like probably within the first hour after it came back, he made a note for. So you telling me I did all that crying for nothing?
You see, there was a trend of like these big influencers posting the things that they were lying about the whole time. What do you think about that? Because for me personally, I'm like, even if TikTok's going away, all it takes is one person to download your video and post it everywhere else, and your career is still done. Like, what do you think? Do you think their apologies as they're coming back are legit? Do you think they were lying about lying for views? Like,
it's one of those weird things of like I said, I joked around and said I was going to do the craziest things on my last stream. So I mean, the people who actually were doing crazy stuff, I was like, I do know, like,
you could still get banned.
Right? It's like it's not like our accounts is disappearing or anything. You can't get access to them.
And everybody could see them overseas still. So like, even if TikTok stayed banned here, they would have held our accounts in like on their server somewhere, accessible to everyone else in the world for some predetermined amount of time.
I don't know if you saw videos as we were coming back up, but there was UK, Canada, just people from all of us going, Americans, I know you got back on TikTok, but the other countries was making fun of you so hard.
And
This
Canada
is
was
what
part
I
of it.
was defending. Yes, like I was defending you. But what they were saying is, I was like, I guess this is going to be the trend for the week. Huh?
Did you see? There was actually quite a few influencers that got canceled as well because they were talking so much crap about US TikTok. And it's like, do you realize that the majority of TikTok's user base is actually in the US? Which makes me worried about what they agreed to behind closed doors to get it back up. And I don't know if this is still the case, but CapCut is still not up. At least from when I last saw it, CapCut was no longer allowed. But suddenly Meta came out with something called Edits that works the same way. Isn't that crazy? And it just came out like today. Craziest stuff.
I'm out here like, I'm just going to wait and see what happens at this point, right? Because
but come on.
Like,
there's conspiracy theories out there. Everybody has questions.
There's so many, but then it's like deciphering
rampant.
what's true or not. Because everybody ran with the owner of TikTok took that CEO label off of his page.
It was never on there.
It was never on there. Yeah. So it's like, and people just run with it instead of fact checking stuff.
But one thing that is true is that Facebook, Meta, and IG now have TikTok accounts.
So I looked into that too.
Oh.
Apparently, at least the Facebook account existed already. At least the Facebook.
But what about the other two?
That one I don't know. I didn't check into those yet. But the Facebook accounts,
I need more.
Allegedly, the Facebook accounts existed way before this.
You're my conspiracy guru. Then you're here to make sure that I'm on the right path.
I'm really not. I just need to fact check information sometimes. It's just stuff that gets put in my face. I'm like, nah, I can't be.
I don't care enough about I just knew that once I knew those accounts existed, I needed to block them all. And that if the conspiracies are true and TikTok becomes another Meta product, I'm out because Reels can't learn me for some reason. And I'm not trying to have Reels part 2 not learning me. I just don't have time for it. I've heard about this Neptune app that's coming out though. So it's supposed to be like more creator focused social media that functions kind of like TikTok. So I'm excited about it. I know that they were planning to launch in the fall of this year, but they're kind of fast tracking it because right now, TikTok's really just got 90 days. And by the time this is posted, even less time. So we don't know if it's going to still be here after that 90 days, if they can come up with some kind of solution everybody's happy with or what. Because ByteDance will not sell their algorithm. That is the one thing they have going for them that nobody else has. And that algorithm alone is worth billions. They will not release that. So there's no way they're going to be willing to sell it. They'll sell it without the algorithm, and TikTok without the algorithm isn't worth a whole lot. So,
and it's kind of like let's just go to Red Note.
Yeah, that's true. I'm already on Red Note, so
I haven't created an account yet.
I'm learning Mandarin. Most of the words that I've been taught are swears, though. So we're not gonna say any bad words today.
I'm on the wait and see approach with everything. So I'm just like, y'all go first and y'all tell me, and then maybe I'll create it.
Yeah, I think that's why I started really focusing heavily on the Twitch aspect of it and then checking out other ways that I can stream gaming, because really that's what I use social media for more than anything. I want to find a place where I can stream my games in peace and talk to people that come along and just do that. That's what TikTok became for me. And then they ripped the rug out from under my feet, and I was like, wow, I really need to put my eggs in more baskets. I didn't think this day would come that our country was banning apps, but here we are. And while it was a soft ban, I really feel like we were just on like a detox for a day. It is what it is.
Couple hours.
Yeah, I think it was literally, I think someone said it was exactly 14 hours.
Yeah, that's what
it's like, y'all couldn't have this conversation like 14 hours earlier and just not turned it off? Like, but apparently a lot of people got banned in that time period too, so not everyone's account came back.
That's
I feel sorry for the people who deleted it on your last day of TikTok. Oh yeah, and they can't get it back in the shop.
Exactly, can't get it back. they stuck for who knows how long. They can't even re-download it.
They can go to TikTok.com.
That works. That works for
now.
But
scrolling on your computer, ooh, that's nasty work.
Since you mentioned it, and since we never mentioned that, we both have Twitch accounts. You can follow us both on Twitch.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that'll probably be somewhere floating around in the list too. she has the most amazing conversations. Like there was these two guys going back and forth in her live today. It was crazy. I don't know what was going on there, but it was a very entertaining conversation.
It's crazy too because both of their names were John.
Yeah, like they were just having this crazy back and forth. It started off great, and then all of a sudden they became not friends, I guess.
It was almost like they shared a brain and they argued their way into a wall.
So yeah, it's crazy. Like I guess we'll have to see what happens next time you go live on Twitch.
Which will be tomorrow.
Oh, there you go. The adventures continue.
Yep.
All right, so to the main subject that we wanted to talk about today. We wanted to cover Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2077. How do we want to tackle this? So, in our first episode, we did at least touch upon our love for Cyberpunk.
Yes.
So, today we decided that we wanted to touch upon it in the aspect of broadening Cyberpunk lore in general. And one of the examples that we are going to use is Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the anime that's on Netflix. You had an opportunity to watch a couple episodes. I know you're still watching it.
Most of it. I'm just missing the last 2 episodes, but I feel like I've played enough Cyberpunk that I can kind of feel the way this is going. Because Cyberpunk stories don't have happy endings all the time. They rarely do, actually.
For up to you watch now, what do you feel about the show in general?
I think that in the beginning, it was a very abrupt start because it was like this kid immediately loses his mom, then decides that he's going to get this spine attached to him because he can't get enough money for it to survive, goes and beats up the bully that just beat him up the day before. But then the bully's dad is like, hey, this kid's actually a good test subject, so just tell your son to apologize and let's get him back in school on a scholarship. And I was like, that's wild, but also very on brand for the corpos because they care about money more than everything. And then he just finds his way to this group of edge runners and they're like, you stole that from me. Wait, you're her kid? Cool, you can be a part of our group. And I felt like that kind of was too easy in the world of Cyberpunk. Like that doesn't... The Cyberpunk that I played, they would have just said, oh, that's mine, and ripped that sucker off. So for me, that part felt a little easy, but I like the character development that he had. He went from being like a clumsy kid who couldn't get out of his own way to like a man that was leading a group. And I could appreciate that character development. He had like a really solid love interest, and like the path that goes down is really sad because she's so tortured by this information she found about him and trying to protect him. And like where I left off was her thinking that she was going on the last run she'd ever have to go on to finally really protect him, and getting caught, which I can tell you right now because I've played so much Cyberpunk, I've done a few runs of the game, I knew that was going to happen because every time you think this is the last run, you end up Johnny Silverhand. Yep. I feel like that's the best way to say what happens to you.
You end up Johnny Silverhand.
Yep. You always think, oh, we just need this one run and we're good. This is going to make us legends. It's no different than what happens in the game, right? V goes on this mission. She loses her best friend. They both think this is going to be the payday that makes them legendary. And instead, it makes them like public enemy number 1 to a lot of different people.
So I gotta ask it on podcast because I want to make sure I don't get in trouble. It's okay to talk about spoilers for you right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Spoilers don't bother me because I'll still watch it anyway.
I just gotta make sure so when I say something, you don't come from my life. So
I'll come to your life later. It's fine. Don't worry.
So what I enjoy most is it keeps within the lore, because it also builds upon the game. And I'm not sure if you remember or not, but this anime, when the anime dropped, that was, I would say, the revival of Cyberpunk, the game.
Yeah.
Because even by that time, they already made the updates, but it lost a lot of traction. But once the anime dropped and everybody watched it, it sent a whole following. I need to go play Cyberpunk. And that kind of revived the game to the good standing it is today. I got to skip to the end. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What I enjoy is when they bring in our favorite enemy, Adam Smasher.
No, I knew it.
Adam
Because
Smasher.
they mentioned him, so I had a feeling.
And it's to me it's funny when he arrives on the scene, because I think you get the mention earlier and they say, oh, Adam Smasher is just a legend, like it doesn't exist. So when he finally shows up, he's like, oh, so you're Adam Smasher, all right, so what you like, well, you think you're something, like let's handle this right now, so
that's crazy.
yes. So for the world building that it does, because it stays within the continuity of Cyberpunk in general, and then as I said, as building lore, because David, the one thing I can never confirm is, because as if you remember, they say in the afterlife, everybody who's a legend gets a drink named after them. I'm not sure if that drink, the David Martinez, appeared before, if that was in the game before the anime, or if that was
after
into the game after. I can't.
They added it in after because of the show. So that's what I saw.
Because of the other legends, right? My thought was they should just do anime, like just 10 episodes. Tell me a quick story, something lighthearted. Let's go through the list. Yeah, let's just go through the list of people, because there's a whole bunch of names that get dropped throughout, like just the game in general, not even like in the afterlife.
I think I would even appreciate getting more about Johnny Silverhand, because we get like the later years, we don't get how he became this guy, or like the early story of Alt. I would love that.
Yeah, it's like just talking about that. If they just do anime short stories, like just let's keep expanding, because there's like Morgan Blackhand. That's a name that comes constantly throughout side quest, all that stuff, as being one of the big legends. But throughout the game, you never confirm if he's really alive or dead. So it's like I would still love to know the mystery of him, because it's like he's a shadow that's talked about, but nobody really talks about him. Even Johnny talks about him. So I was like, okay, he existed. And I believe he's technically he's also present for the Arasaka mission with Johnny. He's doing something in the background of it. So I was like, just okay, can I see what this character looks like? All this stuff. Like what's going on?
What was his family life? Did he have a girlfriend?
Did he?
What kind of messed up stuff was he into?
Did he have to save anybody?
I'm telling you, man. Like I really enjoyed it. Like it for me in the beginning, I was like, this doesn't feel likely in the realm of Cyberpunk, but it very quickly got on track.
Yeah.
He had to earn his keep, and I think that's how he ended up kind of paying it back. But it was wild.
Yeah, and I just the character development throughout it all. That's what I really enjoyed, and then I kind of love how they tackled cyberpsychosis in the anime, kind of showing us like what cyberpsychosis is from
and how it starts. Because it's not a switch that flips.
Main going through it, and then him going through it. So it's like that is like I enjoyed that insight into okay, this is what cyberpsychosis looks like. Because in the video game it's just go stop these people.
Yeah, and the guy earlier on that was just peeing off the side of the thing and then just freaking wrecked him. Like that was absolutely nuts. But it was also like this is Night City. Just leave the dude alone. Like you don't know what anybody's going through here. They're all crazy. Even if they're not cyber psychos, everyone there is just a little bit unhinged. Like if I saw someone peeing off of something in real life right now, I wouldn't talk to him. I'd be like, that guy's crazy. He's peeing off the top of that trailer. I'm not talking to him. I'm going over here. I'm getting out of the splash zone.
I'm going the other direction. I ain't even seen it.
That guy didn't happen. Sir, let me give you your privacy. My bad. I'm gonna go over here.
You can have the whole block to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm out here.
No, you want some toilet paper? I'll go get you some. I'll throw it. Like, I'm not bothering anybody that's peeing off of something. So I feel like that was one of those things but it also showed an emotional side to some of the characters, because they just watched one of their own die. Then they're trying to defend their own lives while stopping it. And it was just like insane, like how emotional everyone was. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think that was the first kill David Martinez has, isn't it? That's the first time he ends up actually killing someone? Or am I wrong?
I think he killed somebody before the cyber.
Maybe.
I think.
Because it felt like a really emotional, like he was having a hard time pulling the trigger when he was doing the firing at the firing range. But then he had to defend his little girlfriend, whose name escapes me at the moment. I feel like that was the first time. Yes, Lucy. I feel like that was the first time that he killed somebody because of that. Because he was like, it was in defense of someone else. It wasn't like he didn't have time to think. He had to do.
I think you're right. I'm having a tough time remembering.
That was like the turning point for him, where like he went from boy to man. Like he had to. He realized how ugly the world really was finally, and what he had to do to keep himself and her safe.
Because he also was dealing with the trauma of watching Mr. with his hands. I don't remember his name, but getting his head popped off.
Oh, yep.
So.
Yeah, that guy, I mean, to be fair though, he was creepy.
He definitely was.
He was a creep. And all he had to do was mind his business. He died because he made a bad choice. And in Night City, that's how it works. That is Cyberpunk. Like, I know when I roam the streets of Night City as V, and I see people doing anything moderately unokay, I ruin everybody's day. All they have to do is have like a little red line over their head, and it's on. They ain't even gotta do nothing to me.
You're just out here getting everybody's business, huh?
Oh yeah. I am the number one business getter-inner. If I see you and you're on the side and you're looking moderately questionable, it's a problem for me today too. Why not? That's how you get good weapons fast, because you get all the money and the clothes, you sell it off.
Well, I cheated the system.
Oh no. How did you cheat the system, John?
Well, before they started making real patches and update, there was a mission that you could abuse. I don't remember the exact name of it, but you're supposed to steal a painting, and then you're supposed to sell it, but you could glitch the game to sell it and then take it back out and keep reselling it to get money.
Oh my
so
God.
I definitely did that to get like a whole bunch of money. I was like, I don't need to worry about money ever again throughout the rest of this playthrough.
Can't. So you're
that was very early on. Yep, that was very early on.
Wow, John.
In the beginning of the game,
I couldn't use the game when it first came out. The game was unusable for me when it first came out, which was really sad. But honestly, in a way, it worked out, because by the time I got to get to it, it wasn't coming out with anything else I was competing with. Like, I finally had time. I was like, I saw they did some patches. Let me see if it works now. And it did. And it's great. And I love it. And I played through it more than once. It was especially great because, once all the patch updates happened, my character kept her pants on. Because I'll tell you what, the pants were equipped, but they were not on her. And people in Night City don't like it when you're pantsless. And they recognized her as pantsless, even though she for sure had pants on. So
the pants glitch. You had
it was weird.
Pants glitch.
It was so annoying. And then I had the car glitch too, where every time I got in my car, it looked like a hoarder car, so it was just full of trash. I stopped getting in cars. I was like, I can't live like this. I cannot live like this, because it looked like my car was just up to here in garbage. I couldn't do it.
It's like a part of me really wishes that I experienced what everybody else experienced on some level. Like, like I had I guess you would call it like when the standing T, like you ever you saw that? That's like the worst I had. I didn't have like game breaking bugs. It's not like little odd things that would happen here and there, but I mostly enjoyed my experience.
Oh, poor John. He didn't get to struggle like the rest of us. Oh,
I just want to be able to say, hey, yeah, I remember those times. I was there too. I was in the deep with you guys.
No. It's like the little rich kid that wants to pretend he's poor for the day. Like, no.
So I'm sorry.
You don't got a seat on the struggle bus, okay? You can't sit with us. But I can't appreciate, and I think this is something that I will always love, and why I will always go for CD Projekt Red games, is because they fucked up, they knew they did, and they fixed it. And not only that, but they keep giving us more stuff. They're like, hey, you want more stuff? Hey, you want another DLC? Hey, here's some more stuff for free. And it's
unlike the squad game with the Justice League.
That will always have a dark spot for you, huh?
Because it really hurt my heart. That game really hurt my heart.
CD Projekt Red is an anomaly. I think that we're in an age where gaming is more about how much money we can make and not how happy can we make our fans. How much more diverse can we make this for the love of what we're doing? Like, you can tell that CD Projekt Red as a company loves this universe. because they keep devoting resources to it, even when they're not charging us for them. They love Cyberpunk as much as we love Cyberpunk. And that just doesn't happen everywhere. A lot of other gaming companies, for better or for worse, at the end of the day, they're just trying to keep the lights on.
And even though I know I'm not in that series, I feel that same thing with The Witcher.
The Witcher is beautiful. The Witcher is a beautiful game. The Witcher is how I really started to trust in CD Projekt Red, because I absolutely adored that game. I love games. Like, for me, every game that I play, if it is story driven and my choices have real consequences that impact some part of the storyline that I can't reverse, I love that, because it's like, this is life. You made a choice right here, and this is what's happening because of it. That's like I'm playing Dragon Age Veilguard now. I made a decision, and it will remind you in the corner, like, hey, this person's talking to you like this because you made this choice, and it really fucked them up. And it's like, well, isn't this the consequences of my actions? But, but for me, that feels more real. I can't just undo it. And I like that. So games like, The Witcher, games like Cyberpunk 2077 were like, even in the Dogtown DLC, there were numerous endings you could get for that. And then those endings also impacted the end of game ending. So it was like that's crazy to me that they had that much thought. Like, hey, well, however you choose to do this, it's going to impact something over here. However you choose to do these little pieces. And there's not a lot of games that do that well. There's a lot of games that try to do that, but not a lot do it well. And that's something that CD Projekt Red, I think, they just have the secret sauce. They know how to make you replay a game a dozen times. And I know someone in particular, Big F, who is in my streams a lot. I met him through my Cyberpunk streams, and he's repeatedly played the game through. He's still playing it through again because he likes seeing all the ways that things change. He likes just being in the world. And that's not something that every game can do. They just can't.
It's even like nowadays they focus on how much money we can make and how much time we can keep somebody in the game, which is, even though Squad game with Justice League, that's where they messed up, right? They had one of the best superhero game teams in Rocksteady making the Batman series. Sure, the last Batman game, that's a subject up to his own, how you feel about it. But they had such built faith with what they've done in games that when the Suicide Squad game was announced, everybody had this vision of it. But then when they saw it, it was just like, this is nothing like what we imagined. And even at that point, when the first trailer dropped, that game was pretty much dead on arrival from that point forward. And whether people want to admit it or not, like they delayed it, and even though they're delaying it, this is what the game is at this point based on this trailer. There's nothing you can do to change what the game is. So it's like, because WB intervened, it was like, nah, we need this type of game. We want a hero shooter with, what's the mechanic? Play games as a service. So they had all these seasons, and it didn't even last that long. Even now, they ended. I think they had like maybe 5 seasons planned. They barely made it through the first one, and they're done with it. They're not putting no more support into it. They pretty much shutting it down, and the story that played out ended up playing out terrible. And it's like, CD Projekt Red is the antithesis of that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you have a studio who loves it. And even like about just outside of this, even though another game not really for me, but Baldur's Gate 3, how much love went into that game.
That is such a good game. Those are people that love D&D. I loved that game, and they added more endings. I have to play it again. It's on my 2 playlist. Actually, I feel like you might enjoy it more if you played it with us. I feel like you would. We're gonna get you in there. We gotta get you to try it. It's fine.
I don't know about that.
It's D&D. You want to try D&D? That's the best. Like, literally, the way it plays is like D&D, and you can do all the same hijinks that you get into when you're playing it around the table with your friends. Like, I remember when that game came out, I devoted my life to that game. I was like, work, Baldur's Gate. I had like 100 hours into it, but I beat that game so fast. Like, I did probably almost every quest. I had all of the companions. I had so much fun with that game. Like, I played through it the first time by myself because my husband was just moving through it way too slow, and I was like, I cannot do this. I need to play it faster on my terms. So I did. I played it faster on my terms. And then I ended up beating it with him later. But it's like, that game is an incredible game. But I know why it had the hard stop that it did, because D&D as a game gets very complicated once you start getting to higher levels. Making sure that the enemies are strong enough, making sure that you have the foundations built for the characters to function the way that they're supposed to. Oof, it gets hard. I would love to see more, although I'm really sad that Larian is not going to be involved.
Why not?
Because they're moving on to their own IP, which makes sense. Let's think about this for a second. Dungeons & Dragons is an internationally recognized brand. They used one of their campaigns for a game. Let's think about for a moment how much the profits of that game went right back to the people that own Dungeons & Dragons instead of Larian. Where now Larian has the clout to say, hey, we made our own game that's kind of like that, but not like that.
Now it's on them to continue to prove that it can deliver, right?
Yeah. And so, but another game studio will probably pick it up. Hopefully it's as good. Hopefully they vet it well. We'll see.
I remember, like, when Baldur's Gate 3 dropped, it started this whole conversation within the industry of games of how games like that are unrealistic. And it's just like, you know, you had a whole bunch of developers chiming in saying, you know, like, this, it's not possible for, you know, people to have that much time to work on games. And just like, that's the problem. Like, it's y'all make excuses for the time that they chose to live in. And even at the time, I was like, early access has been around for how long? And that game was in early access for who knows how long. So they've been doing this all this time, and when it officially released, they got its recognition. And it's just like, y'all saying that I can't do that. That's, you know.
And that's the thing. I think that's a magical thing that exists for PC players, is having the ability to be on these early access games. And I think for me, like Phasmophobia, I got on there. I think it's technically still early access, even though it's on console and stuff now. Lockdown Protocol, we played for a while. That was fun. Like, it's been really interesting seeing the early stages of these games. And then I have Busted Up Billy is a game that is in very, very early access. I don't even think they can call it that, because we get it in chunks to test. So it's not even a fully fledged playable anything right now. It's literally just like chapters of a game, and not even like whole chapters, just pieces of a chapter. And I think that that's such an interesting way to do it, because to play the chapters of the game, you got to sign up for their Patreon, and that Patreon funds them continuing to make the game. And then you get to be on the credits as like a supporter of the game. And that's, you know, that's every nerd stream. Look, there's my name right there. Like, how cool. I made it, Mama.
Mama, I made it.
So it's like, you know, it's one of those things where smaller studios are finding a way to make the games that truly impact us. And I think that there's going to come a point in time where those smaller studios are going to be who we're turning to for our stories, because they're taking more time, they're taking more thought, they're putting more love back into it. It's just like, you know, whenever you ask someone, oh, like, what's the special ingredient you used in this? When they cook something and it's really good, and they're like, oh, it's love. Games are the same. If you don't love the game you're working on, it's not going to be good enough. It's just not.
That's a whole fact.
If you're just doing it for the money, money doesn't get you anywhere. Money up to a certain extent buys some happiness, yes, but the cutoff point there is only really in 6 figures. After that point, for individual human beings, then money starts creating more problems than it's worth. I think it's the same thing with, you know, gaming as a whole. Games as a service is it's the biggest bane of my existence. I hate that.
I hate another hour talking about this.
I know. I hate that. Like, Fortnite specifically was a good one for that. Fortnite, on this most recent release, made it harder to get levels because they wanted to keep people on there longer. And then people started complaining, like, why is it taking it so long for me to level up? And then they like dialed it back. And that was what was being said, is they wanted people to take longer, because what'll happen is someone will earn all the stuff and then they'll turn off their subscription for a few months until the next chapter comes out, and then they'll come back, and then they'll go. And that's how people do it. And the reality is you can't force anybody to stay around, but like, dang, you guys are charging $22 for a skin here and there. Like, do you really need their $12 a month? Like, is there that much greed built into it? Like,
and it's like with games as a service, I feel like Destiny, Fortnite is his own thing. I feel like Fortnite is always going to be like just his own little box. Like, nobody's really going to talk about Fortnite when it comes to it. If like Destiny is the game that came out, that everybody wanted to chase the high of Destiny, and still actively trying to, even though it's been proven not to work. Concord game that just came out for recently only lived for 7 days before we're done with it, canceled it, refunded everybody. How much money was wasted,
and time wasted.
Suicide Squad tried to be the same thing, ended up where it is now. Lost so much money, and it's just like, we keep telling you, no, we don't like it. And then people, there used to be an argument that single player games are dead, and it's like, no, you just need to make a good single player game.
Like, and Cyberpunk 2077 is going after how many years? People are still going back to it, replaying it again for the millionth time.
And it's just like, even like The Witcher, like that game's still selling really well.
It has cult status.
And it's like, I wish, the big, it's not even, I can't put it on the developers, the publishers, like, just understand, we don't like this, like, we don't want this anymore. Like, I mean, if you're not going to put like the time and effort to make it good, like, like, just games as a service, it needs to die, right? It needs to go.
And like, you can't say single player games are dead in the same world where Zelda and Mario are still selling the way they do. They sell systems for those games.
For me personally, Nintendo is just like its own.
But here's the thing. It is its own bubble, but those are still single player games, which is proof that if you make it good, people will come and buy it from you. They'll buy a whole system just to play it. Because everybody has a Nintendo Switch. You know who's going to get a Nintendo Switch too? Me? There's probably going to be 2 in this house.
Maybe I'll get it.
You got to at this point. You got to keep up. I mean, because that's what you do. Because Nintendo was my gateway. So, like, at this point, I will be a Nintendo fangirl for the rest of time. I mean, whenever a Pokemon game comes out, like, I gotta be ready. Pokemon is another one that is very easily a single-player game for most people. Highest-selling game out there. Nothing can beat Pokemon. And you can play with a friend, but you really don't have to. And most people don't.
Until Power came out. I never got to play that game, so I never even tried it. So I saw the wave and I was like, "Oh, it looks interesting. I'll download it."
It's like bootleg Pokemon. No, thank you. I never touched it. Pokemon is where it's at for me. I remember my first Pokemon. I don't even remember what my first Pokemon game was. I remember having Pokemon Snap on my my Nintendo 64, Pokemon Stadium, and then having my Game Boy Color. Having the Pokemon, was it like yellow version where you could choose Pikachu as your starting Pokemon? Like, me and Pokemon go way back.
That was day one. I think red and blue.
Like, I had my green Game Boy Color. I was so cool.
Pokemon Coliseum, GameCube.
Oh,
I love that game. Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Stadium. Can't think of any other Pokemon game right now. I think when I got out and I was like, yeah, I have my fix. It's Diamond and Pearl. I think that's when it went to the DS, or just before it went to DS.
We played the last one, the Scarlet and Violet, I think.
Yeah, I ain't even make it that far.
We played it because I mean, everybody in this house has a Switch, so me and my husband played it. We each had a different copy, so we can get all the Pokemon that exist only on one version or the other, and that's what we did.
So was it like on site with everybody in the house? Like, you just like walking through the hallway? Nah, we got a battle right now.
No, it was just us that were playing it. The kids didn't really get into it like that. They're really interesting. I mean, for the kids, they really just want to play Splatoon. and then the next Splatoon, and then the next Splatoon. And then like when they're playing together, they'll play on the Switch downstairs and they'll play Mario Party or Mario Kart or whatever. But when they're playing by themselves, it's really just Splatoon. Although my youngest is now Fortnite addicted, so she's down to do any chores for V-Bucks.
We'll mop for V-Bucks.
Yes, we'll mop for V-Bucks. Dirty toilets, have no fear. I want some V-Bucks.
But yeah, like I always have hope that the game industry will, hopefully move forward in some way and just realizing what is and isn't working.
It won't. They're always going to blame the gamers or the developers or whoever else for why it's not making enough money. They're going to blame the marketing, and the marketing is going to blame the developers, and then everybody's going to blame us because we're just not buying it because we're too dumb to realize how great this game is. Like, the reality is there are always going to be game companies that are focused on just money, and there's going to be all these indie companies that are popping up for the love of the game, and there'll always be companies like CD Projekt Red that they love the game, and they're not a little baby developer. They can do a lot. And I think that's the reality in any industry. I don't think that gaming is isolated there. There's always going to be the obvious cash grabs, and there's always going to be the stuff that's made with love. And I think that at the end of the day, you have to use the gift that you've got of discernment to know the difference and not waste your time. I know I have blind spots when it comes to that, for sure, because Assassin's Creed has been in a really interesting place for a while now, but I'm really excited for the next game. So I'm going to hold out hope that, maybe more game companies can be like CD Projekt Red. And yeah. CD Projekt Red, if you need people to like test stuff, right here, we love the game too. We got to.
You go for her. Go for her.
Yeah. Don't Ubisoft. Don't give him nothing.
don't even. I'm not even gonna say nothing.
BioWare, if it's Mass Effect, I'll take it. I will.
I'll put my head down. Like, no comment. We'll see.
No. I'm ready. I'm so excited for the next Mass Effect. But I feel like that's something that could keep me talking for like 40 minutes, and I only know 40 minutes worth of stuff, probably.
So she just said that we have a future Mass Effect episode coming. That's what she just
probably. I could, but that might be the game I've beaten the most in my lifetime. That trilogy.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. I replay it and replay it and replay it and keep telling myself I'm going to make different decisions, and I never do because I like the way my story ends.
For me, that game would be Metal Gear.
So, yeah.
That's something I always come back to, regardless. Once they finally make all the games available, we can talk about it more. But
understandable.
When they make game preservation.
Yeah.
Whole nother topic.
Oh yes, like I could go on for ages about my frustration of not being able to find the original Assassin's Creed anywhere but Steam now. That makes no sense to me. You have an actively running franchise. That game should be in the PlayStation Store. It should be in the Xbox Store. It should exist. But it doesn't.
But it's...
And I have a disc that I can't do anything with.
It's like how I feel like, I just feel like it's a slam dunk that I should be able to play all my games on
that you purchased.
Console.
Yeah.
I like, no matter how far at the time we get when Sony decides, hey, like, we got this PS5, you're only going to play PS5 games on this PS5. Like,
yeah, but
no, I want to use my PS2 game in there. Like, make it work.
That's why the retro gaming market is so big, though, and that's why places like Game Exchange do as well as they do. It's because people were like, I want to play this game, and for some reason my system doesn't play Xbox 360 games unless I can buy them from the shop, and this one's not in the shop, so now I need to go buy an Xbox 360.
That's why I think like Nintendo is the one like that's so harsh about it. Like they literally be like, nah, we're not making this game no more, but we will actively make sure you don't play it nowhere else. Like, because a lot of us love emulation, and those are the most difficult games to
Yeah.
come across.
But you know what though? Nintendo is really hardcore about their IP. There is nobody that sues more than Nintendo and Pokemon.
I mean, Power seem like it's about to get ripped the new ones. So.
As they should, because I mean, listen, when you have a good product, you don't let people steal it.
Mm-hmm. This is true. So we were talking about Cyberpunk and completely left that a long time ago. But do you have anything you would like to add to the Cyberpunk conversation before we start to wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good on that. I think I'm excited now to see the end of it because now I know Adam Smasher's going to show up, which I had a feeling he would, because why would you mention him if he's not going to be there? You know what I mean? So now I got to watch those last 2 episodes and I'll have to give you my thoughts on that later. But for the most part, I don't know. I want to see more. I'm definitely in the camp of give us more seasons of Edge Runners, show us more stories. Like, even if it's going to the ones that we know some of the stories of, like, I'm okay with the Johnny Silverhand season. Like, let me know how he ended up this guy, because apparently, did you know his real hair color is blonde, but he dyes it black?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's what I knew today.
So, when did he stop being blonde? Why did he stop being blonde? Was it not edgy enough for him? What did he look like blonde?
I don't know if you're into stuff like this because I work overnight, so I always end up finding stuff that's just rabbit holes. Yeah, we're going weird. But the people who like YouTubers who take the time to cover like deep dive into lore of worlds. So like there's I don't remember specific because it's such a long time ago, but there's a YouTuber that I came across who like really covers people. Like he was diving into the background of Adam Smasher because Cyberpunk existed.
Oh, and Adam
before.
Smasher was nuts.
Yeah, Cyberpunk existed before the game. I believe it exists as a board game first. So there's so much lore even like coming from that transfer or goes into Cyberpunk 2077. So anyway, at this point we already have a confirmed sequel coming. So
I need it.
So much.
I need it
so much.
I need more Cyberpunk in my life.
I'm about to go replay it. Like I say, I always am.
I'm gonna hold you to it this time. You need to. I need to finish my most recent playthrough. I haven't gotten through it yet.
Well, if it makes you happy, like I did finally get I installed some mods, right? I got that going. I started the game up, right? I got through the intro, but then I stopped. Why did I stop? I can tell you exactly why I stopped. It was because I got a message saying, "Hey, would you like to play Fortnite?" And I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not?
I know that wasn't my fault. I know it wasn't me.
Yeah, it's my other friend who rounds with berries. So,
Okay.
So it looked like that went over your head, but
no, I was like, really, this guy, really.
But I think it's time to wrap up.
I think so too.
So that has been another episode of the Chaos Within podcast. A lot of chaos today.
That ADHD.
Should I do it? Let's do this right. As usual, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, YouTube. We also have a Discord. You can join. There's usually a link tree in the description of the podcast episode, which you can click and you can find everything plus that Discord. Want to come in, join the conversation, create some chaos, nice chaos.
Nice chaos only.
Nice chaos only. Some maybe mild, depending on maybe.
Yeah. Get to know us a little first. Yeah. Me close it out?
Yeah. You did it so perfectly last time. It's your thing now.
Oh, did I? Oh,
yeah.
I don't even remember what I said last time. Hey, there's the ADHD again. All right.
You said embrace the chaos.
I was going to say that, John. All right. So from us here at the Chaos Within, make sure you embrace the chaos. Why not? It's fun. Bye, everybody.